to this brand new episode. I hope you are having a wonderful day today. As always, we have a new episode packed with wisdom, not just from my brain, but from one of my very special guests, because we're smarter together. And so today we're talking about a topic that I'm very, very passionate about, which is for everyone, whether you're male, female, or non-binary, or fluid, or whatever we have nowadays. We have Clarissa Burt, and we are going to talk about self-esteem for women and girls in particular at this point, and also her book, The Self-Esteem Regime. So Clarissa is the founder and the CEO of In the Limelight Media, which is a multimedia platform consisting of a TV video, a podcast, and a digital magazine. So as you can see, she has tons of experience in the digital world. She's an internationally renowned supermodel. You're the first model I ever had on this podcast, I believe.
Once upon a time.
Oh,
Not so much
but you still look
anymore.
gorgeous. So if you guys are just listening to this, head over to the YouTube channel so that you can have a look. She's also an award-winning actress, television and radio producer, public speaker, author, writer, and winner of the Celebrity Survivor TV show. That is some claim to fame.
It was something.
Clarissa has graced the cover of over 250 fashion and beauty magazine covers and has walked the runway for many major international clothing designers. Mrs. Burt's rise to celebrity stardom started in Italy, where she lived for 30 years. She can be remembered in award-winning films such as Warner Brothers' The Never-Ending Story 2, where she portrayed Zaida,
the Mean Queen.
Never seen it. The Mean Queen. You don't mean, though. She was the first American to present Russian TV at the Kremlin and has had 2 private audiences with Pope Jean-Paul II, honoring her social work. She actively helped African women win the Nobel Prize in 2011, and her forthcoming book is actually published already. The Self-Esteem Regime, published by Rowman and Littlefield, is out now. So you can get that in any great bookstore and online. Clarissa, it is such an honor to have you. There are so many different things that we could talk about. So I will probably invite you back for all kinds of different topics.
Lovely.
But today we are going to talk about your book that has come out and that I think is an evergreen book that everyone needs to read at any stage in their life, which is called The Self-Esteem Regime. Now, first of all, I like that this is, let me see, what is the subtitle of that?
An action plan for becoming the confident person you were meant to be.
Right. So let me grill you with my first question. Is this a book that can only be read or should only be read by women and girls?
Well, all of the case studies in the 12 different chapters are directed and were brought by women for sure. But men have said, you really need to stop saying that because we're loving this book and we're getting a lot out of it. So, nobody really gets off this planet without, a self-esteem situation or issue in some way, shape, or form. It's just kind of one of the things that is intrinsic to the human, right? We've got issues and we've got to live a life, and we have to live a life with ourselves, but we have to live a life also with others. We have to be very careful when we start, moving out of the tribe or our natal community, that we don't bring the things that were given to us, thrust upon us, foisted on us, that were things that were, that were given to them as well. So, a lot of the things that we have are so multi-generational. They go back so many generations of tradition in family, whether it be of discipline or, just major, just regular thought processes or, the way things should and shouldn't be done. We could talk about religion. We could be here all day. But I think that the most important thing is that we are now able, willing, and free to make our own choices. We live in a time where a lot of women, especially before us, really paved the way in the last 100 years for women, especially in freer countries, let me put it that way, because I never want to forget about the women that are still living in oppressed countries.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. And so I absolutely want to be able for us, women that do live freely, to be able to live in the greatest, happiest, healthiest self-esteem ever. And that way, hopefully, we can then tend our hand to those that are in need of strong role models. that's another story for another day. Let's get back to the book. The book is really, it's 12 different chapters. They all begin with rewords, and we start, Christine, with release.
Hmm.
So the first chapter is release. What are we releasing? What do we need to get rid of? What is not serving us anymore? We hear this a lot. We hear this all the time. But let me tell you, it's one of the most important chapters in the book.
I
The
agree.
work that you will do throughout this book is absolutely, make no mistake, it's going to be it's very exciting because it's going to change you and impact your life in ways you could have never imagined. But make no mistake that it's going to be an interesting ride, and at some points it could be very uncomfortable and potentially even upsetting. But
Oh,
that's a good thing.
most definitely. It's interesting because just today, I'm starting to play around with TikTok this year and I'm repurposing for Instagram. So I did a video about, are your values actually your own? And I talked about how we measure our happiness through different lenses, career, money, family, whatever.
Right.
And I was just saying, the first question you should actually ask yourself is, are your scales of values actually your own? And that's exactly what you were talking about. Take an intake, look at, where is this coming from? Is it yours? Is it your parents? Is it your
Right.
family, societies, the
Exactly right.
medias? And then you can start to change. And I compare it sometimes to a clockwork, and you are a cog in that machinery. And meaning that when you start to move, it doesn't mean that the whole rest of the clockwork is going to move smoothly with you. There
Hmm.
will be some pieces that will resist, some pieces that will maybe break, some will go with you smoothly, and that's the network around you that you have. And fortunately, sometimes, specifically for close people, it's very difficult sometimes to accept when you are changing, so I really love that you do give this kind of caveat to the story, which is so
Absolutely.
empowering.
Right. Is it yours?
Is it
Great question.
yours?
Is it yours? Is it really how you feel about it? And then how willing are you to move away from that thought if it isn't? Because make no mistake also that you're going to probably step on a couple of toes and a couple of noses are going to get out
Oh,
of joint.
for sure.
And that is not going to be always a very pleasant place to be either. I'm a big proponent of creating boundaries. And boundaries, sometimes people go, well, I don't know, I don't think, because well, you don't have to do it in a forceful way, and you don't have to do it in an angry way. Well, let me rephrase. You don't have to do it in an angry way. I do propose that you do it in a little more of a forceful way, should you need to. People are always so afraid that it means you're going to have to get angry and you're going to have to raise your voice and you're going to, no.
No.
I think that you really can live in more power when you're doing things quite, let everybody else get angry and yell. But if you, what I say, I call stand in your stead. Make sure that your feet are firmly planted and firmly rooted in what your beliefs are. And let everybody else, they all settle down eventually. They always come around, you know. But don't let your feathers get in a fluff because, they are all flying the coop and getting excited. So,
Agree.
just continue to believe in yourself and what is important to you and what is truth for you and what is, helping you and moving you toward living your greater good.
Definitely. And so let's wind a little bit back, because you had a very impressive career. And obviously, there have been some moments that led you to take an interest in this topic. I am supposing that you yourself had to go through this journey
Mhm.
as well. As you also said, a lot has changed, like
Yes.
through the internet as well. I believe that we have gone from a very strict patriarchal society to people calling out the BS that is around us all the time,
Mhm.
and just starting to see it through a different lens. So let's talk about you for a moment.
Mhm.
When you were having all of these experiences as a
Yeah.
supermodel, still, working in a world that I suppose, is not always friendly towards
Mhm.
women.
Mhm.
When you worked in TV, you had all your non-for-profit work, all your helping, African women with their, what was it again? I forgot, Nobel
The Nobel Peace
Prize
Prize.
work.
Yeah.
You had to have strength in order to do all these projects. So now looking at this piece of work that you've created, what were maybe, if you were to share your wisdom here with my listeners, what is maybe the one thing or the one technique that has helped you the most? Because we have people here who are really quite daunted
Yeah,
by stepping into the light, by
right,
shining their light
right.
to all these people because they have something to share, but it is
Yeah, right.
scary. So
Well, I
how did
think
you do
the
it?
first thing that I would share is the most banal, and it is really self-esteem 101. And that is I think that one of the most important things is to stop comparing yourself to everyone else. You are not on your journey. They are not on your journey. And thank goodness that you are you, because you get to paint the canvas. You get to write, produce, and distribute that film. It's on you to be able to do that. Don't worry about the naysayers. Don't worry about the people that say you can't. You know you can. You know you can. I'm here to tell you you can. And if you don't want to get with me, just get the book. It's going to tell you the same thing. You absolutely can. Now, can I do everything? Oh, you can do anything you want. Well, I
Mm,
say frequently, NASA probably isn't going to call me tomorrow and put me on this next space shuttle. Probably isn't going to happen. I'm a 63-year-old woman. You know, I'm not. I could probably, and I need to be years in the gym. I'd have, all kinds of things to prepare. That probably isn't going to happen, right? But I know that there are so many things, and it's not necessarily what I want to do either, but the things that you are passionate about, the things that you know you want to do, the things that you know you are really good at, or that look, we're all really good at something. We may need more training, we may need more courses or classes or whatever, but we know that we have an inkling towards something. I hear people say, I don't really know what it is. Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. And you're not getting up from the table until we drill down deeper and you give me an inkling. There's a spark in there, if you think there isn't, that will put you on your best path. And by the way, everything that you want to do, if you want to become good at it, is going to be work. Nothing is given to you. I don't know where everybody got that idea, because it's not. You're
okay.
going to have to work for it. And that's part of the beauty of the whole process,
Yes.
is really going in and just taking that deeper dive and taking a big bite out of the pie, and enjoying the process and loving the fact that you are you. Yeah, we all looked at the prettier girl in school, and she was, the homecoming queen, and that was the head of the cheerleader team. I did all that too when I was younger. And she was smarter than I was. There was always someone that had more, in my perception, or was more than I was. Well, they didn't necessarily have, you know, some of them didn't have the greatest lives. I mean, that was their moment to shine in high school. And after that,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So, and by the way, no judgment here. Yeah, it's fine. You could do whatever you want to do. But the idea that I'm trying to get, the concept I really want you to grasp is stop comparing. Secondly, we've already talked about boundaries, really big, super huge. And the third thing that I will say are the affirmations. And I know people go, ugh, one more person saying affirmation. Yes, I am going to say affirmations.
So maybe
And it's
before we
all throughout this
continue, can
book.
you quickly describe, because not everybody, like I had no clue before I got into personal development, what an affirmation actually is. So
Yeah,
can you maybe quickly describe what it is and
absolutely.
why you are a believer?
Every chapter in this book has affirmations for you to be able to recite and to follow. But I would highly recommend also that if you'd like and you feel, you create your own. There is nothing I can't do. I am beautiful and I am kind. I am intelligent. I am capable. And I go down my list every day in lieu of where I am in life in the moment, and in lieu of where my daily demons are, because they will come out every day. I don't care who you are. There is a thought, at least one during the day, that you will have that will say, I'm not
Mm,
good enough. I didn't do it right. God darn me. Why didn't I think of that? She's so much smart. There's always one. And that's when you have to catch it and cut it right there. And then reaffirm with, hold on, wait a second. What did you just say? I'm like, yeah, I am good enough. And here's the other thing I want to say, Christine, that I think is really important. And that is, I'm kind of getting over that I am enough thing. I am enough. I am enough. I'm good enough. You are so much more than enough.
then just enough. I know. I don't like I am enough. What does
You
that
are
even
so much more
mean?
than just enough,
Does it just
girlfriend.
mean I qualify it. Like, here's the bar, and I'm enough means you're
Here's the
just on
bar.
top. It's
Yep.
like, hell no. You're like way above. Like, it's
Absolutely. You are limitless. You are
exactly
unstoppable. You are, I mean, we
unstoppable.
could go down the list also of, you are every possibility.
Mm.
You need to create in your life, look, I'm networking all day. I'm networking all day with this computer, with people I've never met. There are unlimited networking opportunities. And that's the fourth thing, another thing, not the fourth, but another thing that I highly propose. And that is networking and finding, a lot of us we didn't necessarily come from the strongest home life. A lot of people were very lucky and had the greatest parents in the world. And a lot of people kind of didn't. And so when we're thrust out into the world, we have to create our own community of supportive people. I created a mastermind of phenomenal women, and we get on there, and I'm telling you, we are 20 of us, and we are just like that. And we love our time together. But there are many places you can go if you'd like, and if you're propensive, you go to church groups you can find there. You can go to school groups, you can go to courses, you can go to classes, meetup.com. We're starting to open up with other networking kind of events. No matter, I don't care if you sew quilts, or you knit Afghans, whatever it is that you do, there's always a place that you can find people that are
Exactly.
supportive. Do not accept mean girls in your
Oh
in
my
your
God. Yes. No, no,
do
no, no,
not
no.
accept mean girls in your realm.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this. The more you start to niche down on yourself and what is truth for you, the more the toxic people are going to fall away.
Totally. Because they don't like it.
And they don't like it, and it's going to hurt you. But again, what would you prefer, to live in toxic fake relationships and reality, or come back home to self and know that you are living your, again, greatest good? Two of the words that I think are the most important for all of us to check in on are integrity and honesty.
Yes.
Are you living integrity with yourself and others? Are you living honestly within yourself and with others?
Which is why my method is called Impact with Integrity. See, I absolutely, absolutely love all of this, specifically because I've also, and I haven't told you that yet because I always forget to talk about it, but especially as a business owner, it is isolating. Honestly, if you are an entrepreneur, you are different from 80% of people out there. You think differently, you have to be very resilient. And so that's why I created my business tripper community. It's actually not a mastermind. We travel the world together as entrepreneurs only, because when you're with travelers, it's an amazing vibe already.
It is.
If
It
you're
is.
entrepreneurs traveling together, crazy mind blowing. So that's what the business trip is all about. Thanks to the pandemic, it's not happening.
I
And
know.
it's
I have a
like,
trip to Italy that I take entrepreneurs. I haven't been able to
we've
go in
been
this
on
year.
standby, like Namibia, I had to postpone. I just postponed again for April 2023, but we have Bali still on the schedule for July. So
Oh,
hopefully
nice.
that will happen. But
Oh,
it's,
I'll come.
you are invited.
I would love to
Yes,
come.
absolutely. So I'll
When
send
is
you an
it?
email
April
later.
next year? I'm there.
Wonderful. And so, but it was created because you have these conversations with people that you spark with, and they see your blind spot and they call you out in the kindest, lovable, but also toughest way
Yes.
possible. And sometimes when you talk about the same subjects with maybe friends that were the closest you ever had in your life, but they don't have to rely on themselves to provide for themselves and their family, but they have just
Yeah.
no judgment, a regular job. I used to have one
Yeah.
for so long.
Sure.
Then they don't quite understand. And it's not meant that they're stupid or anything. It's just a different life. Like
Yeah.
you just don't understand.
We all grow differently, and things as we
Exactly.
grow become, different things become more important for us,
Exactly.
and that's fabulous. We're all growing differently, but we can all come back together in one place. And that's
Exactly.
in love and respect for one another. And once you've got
Exactly.
that, and that's another way of bringing self-esteem to the table, is
Mm,
knowing, that you are confident enough to go. Why do people always freak out when they have to go home for the holidays? Sit around that, this Thanksgiving table. It's always, political and
it's
religious,
triggers. It's a trigger fest.
all the trigger stuff. You're absolutely right. But if you can sit there and feel really cool, calm, and collected in your own knowing of who you are, it really, you just let everybody buzz around you as you are sitting in your truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes strength.
Yeah.
It takes courage. It does take resilience.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of forgiveness, I find,
Sure it does.
and
Sure it does.
always remembering that you don't forgive people for their benefit, but for your own. And it
Absolutely.
sometimes takes a lifetime to forgive, and even
It's
beyond
a
a
big one.
lifetime. It's a
It's a big
process,
one.
but it will help you to shine your light. And I think that's what we've both witnessed is the more and more you speak your truth, you
Yeah.
shine your pure light without all the veils of preconditioning or thinking what people want to hear rather than what you truly want to say.
Okay, exactly.
That is when you
Well,
become
that's living in
inspirational.
integrity, isn't it? That is living in integrity. Absolutely.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's great for business too, because I'm always preaching this. It's not about anyone assuming who wants to work with you. That's crap. It's about you being you and people finding you and then deciding for themselves if you are for them or not. It's none of your business to
Right.
convince them or to assume you know what they want or to
Yeah.
predict what their pain points are or whatever. I'm very passionate about this. It's like,
Yes.
yes, to some extent, but stop building a whole business and a whole existence on assumptions. It's
Absolutely.
not healthy.
Yeah. And I think that it's really important. There are people that are born to lead and people that are not, and that's okay too. You don't have to be a leader. The other thing that I love to bring to the fore is letting go of jealousy. It's the easiest go to for so many reasons because
How do
I
you
think
do it? So let's get concrete here.
very well. You have to stay. You have to stay in if you have to stay in leadership mindset, knowing that there is plenty enough of the
Mm,
universe for all of us. Um, the second thing is if there is, and I believe this to be true in especially with a relationship with a significant other, um, if you are being triggered by jealousy, there is something that is awry. There is something that you are not, work on your emotional self-esteem, like work on that. But if you are in a relationship where you are not feeling safe, you are not feeling secure because that person is unable to give you the kind of reassurance at times that you may need. And again, this is a fine line with self-esteem, so bear with me here. Then it's not the relationship for you, and walking away is going to be one of the most painful things you will ever do. And I know
totally.
because I've just done it. I've just done it not 5, 6 weeks ago.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
was
Yeah.
crazy mad. Yeah, I was really crazy about this person. Just crazy. And unfortunately, I know that he did as much as he could possibly do, but I was vibrating up here.
Mm. Yeah.
And this again, it's not a judgment call.
Oh,
And
not at all.
his vibration was, in his world meant something completely different.
I did
Love
it
means
too.
Love means
Absolutely.
different things to different people. I had
Exactly.
an expectation of the way I wanted to be loved that I felt was really important for
Mhm.
me. And it wasn't met with the same importance. Now, I don't mean for that to sound pompous, and I don't mean for it to sound it's my way or the highway. There's a
Mm.
lot more to this story that I won't divulge, but I knew in the heart of hearts that we were on a different emotional level.
Yeah. And sometimes it develops that way, right? I walked out of a marriage and got a divorce, not because I didn't love my partner anymore, not because he did something atrocious at all. He's still the kindest. I always say he's the best ex I could ever have. He's the best father to my child I could ever wish for. But yes, we develop differently and I just vibrate on a different level. Not saying that
Yeah,
it's better or
right.
less, but it's become too
Exactly.
different for me to be
Exactly.
happy And then prioritizing yourself. I think that's also very important. And I'm absolutely certain you talk about it in your book, that self-prioritizing does not equal horrible, selfish, bitch from hell,
Exactly.
not
No,
at
no,
all.
without a doubt. And I think you also need to know that if you're going to be getting into a relationship, you need to have that conversation pretty much straight up, forward. Where you want to see forward momentum and growth in your partner as well, apart from the relationship.
Yeah.
And so we could be here all day on that, but let's just get back to to our regular programming, shall we?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think all of these pieces are relevant to business development, like mindset, knowing self-esteem, having the confidence. I do also think, and that's something else I want to talk to you about, is that I do work with a lot of women. It's not quite 50-50. I think it's 30% men, 70% women.
Mhm.
But I see a lot of overlap. And I just want to talk about this real quickly, because when I had my first business, Sleep Like a Boss, it was actually built in a very feminine way. I actually said for a while that I'm only working with women, but it attracted a lot of men too, because we mustn't forget that we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. So I do really want to encourage everyone who just feels that they are attracted towards this to read this, or to you know get acquainted with all of these different it's not new, but all of
Right.
these wisdoms out there, whether you're a man or woman or whatever gender you identify with or don't identify with nowadays. So nowadays I sound horrible. It's I'm not that old that I can't get used to it. But I really find that we all need to learn from these things and also cater to our different sides that we have within our
Right.
psyche here. Right. So I think that's really, really, really important. Now, you wrote this book, and I want to know exactly why. What triggered you to say, I need to address this more passionately? I really want to write a book that is going to be a legacy. I always feel a book is a legacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Um,
what happened?
as a young girl, I watched my mother in a toxic relationship. She was, I was the reason she had to get married. And therefore, an 18-year-old girl, when she gets pregnant back in 1958,
Huh,
and coming from 12 years worth of the Catholic nuns, really didn't have much where to go.
no.
That was it.
Yeah.
She put the kind of the nail in the coffin as far as having potentially being able to do anything else in life for a while. So she did get married, and then had two other children, and lived miserably in this marriage. I watched my grandmother, who was my mother never wanted to have her picture taken. She always felt she was chubby. She wasn't. She was beautiful, my mother, and she never saw it. At my grandmother, beautiful woman, beautiful, beautiful, and she always had to lose weight. Well, she didn't. She was beautifully shaped, and just beautiful thin woman. What she had to lose. So she took two diet pills one day, and she choked on them. They perforated her esophagus,
Oh my God.
and she was spent the next 6 weeks in the hospital. I had the great fortune to travel the world modeling. It was my first love. It's what I wanted to do as a young girl. And I worked with some of the top supermodels in the world. I worked from Iman all the way down. And we were all on the same runways together. I traveled the world, and I mean, from London to Paris to Milano to Rome to New York. I was on all the major runways. And these girls were absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I mean, most women look at the women I was working with as tall and thin and gorgeous and could have had anything that they wanted. And many of them, certainly not all of them, but many of them I would see in toxic relationships, or
Mm.
drugging themselves, or speaking poorly about themselves. And
Hmm.
it dawned on me that there was no there was no age, no race, no creed, no faith, there was nothing. It was just sort of straight across the board. No matter where you were, you would find someone that was not happy with themselves. And I thought, that's really interesting, and I knew that I wasn't too. And I went, wow, so it's not just me, there's something to
Hmm.
this. um, and so that was something that really triggered me early on. to write a book about self-esteem because, again, when I got up and went out into the world, there was nothing in the way. There was no cell phone. There was no, computers,
I don't know.
internet.
There was not even a fax machine. There was like
No, no, no. I mean, I don't
a
even think there were
telegram.
those. Quite frankly, it just started. And so I was running around the world alone,
Hmm.
lonely, doing what I love to do, but feeling very disconnected.
Yeah.
So I think that there was just it just sparked in me that there was more need for this kind of work, and I think right now, Christine, even more than ever, because
Yeah.
the last 2 years have put us in a state of loss. It's loss of faith, loss of hope, loss of jobs, loss of money, loss of relationships, loss of government. I mean, just name it. We could be here all day with the sense of loss that we are feeling.
Hmm.
And for me, it was a little bit different because I was able to stop running around and there were no more bright, shiny objects, and I could spend all day long just right there at the computer, which was great because I was able to do the book and move forward with my business. But it was a very lonely feeling. And so I think that this is a great pick myself up, dust myself off, put my big girl britches back on, and a regime is an organized way of doing things. I
I love it.
chose the word specifically because I want everyone to know that this is big girl britches time. This is no more excuse time. This is, you're going to read the book, you're going to do the work, and you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to be able to do some amazing things in the interim. Remembering that it's going to be fun and not so fun sometimes. When you get to the end of the tunnel, that light is going to be so bright and so light and so white that you are going to be so thrilled with yourself and your achievements and what you've strived for. Yeah, it's going to be really
Wonderful.
happy.
Wonderful. I'm excited. I'm going to get a copy for sure. Also for my daughter at some point to read because, well, she's 8, but she's going to read. I think she will need
Yeah,
it. Like every young
sure.
girl nowadays needs it more than ever
Yes.
with social media, being inspirational more than ever, but also being just as harsh and mean as more than ever. So if you guys want to check it out, you can go. I think the best way is to go to Clarissa's website where you will have a link and all the information about her. And it's clarissaburt.com, all in one word. You can also check her out on facebook.com. We have all the links in our show notes on christinemeansbusiness.com when you head to the podcast and blog section. Clarissa, I'm so grateful that you
Thank
shared
you.
your precious time and your wisdom with us. It's a topic that we cannot talk enough about, and you have so many accolades and credibility markers to your name. So I know that what is in this book is just going to be absolutely fantastic.
Thank you
It's
very much.
wonderful to have had you. And anyone, please reach out to her. I'm absolutely sure she will be happy to get your messages and to answer any of your questions.
Yes,
And yeah, thank you for being here.
you're welcome. Thanks, Christina, to you.
And for all of you, don't make sure that you don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, like our videos, listen to us on the podcast and follow us there. And you can catch me on Instagram. It's the easiest way to do. You can get all the information on christinemeansbusiness.com. And I'll be talking to you in a couple of weeks. Bye bye for now.